Deleted session, May 22, 1978. An excellent discussion and quite apropos, for it shows how your working methods differ. It also shows considerable misunderstandings on both of your parts. Ruber works intuitively. The results appear quickly, sometimes effortlessly. He uses a different kind of organization. That organization is holistic, so that it deals with such issues. He begins there, and the details necessary fall into place. You might quite properly say that much work is involved, but it is of an interior, concentrated, intent, and largely invisible nature. Often only the results show. When Ruber becomes consciously aware of those results, then he is inspired. That is, he encounters a fresh flow of new perceptions, or of perceptions suddenly appearing in an original manner, so that he is seized with energy, and has merely then to let the intuitive information flow. That is the way he operates. The same applies, in different degree. Now, in his painting, inventions often come in the same fashion. I have given information on this before, but you settled upon the idea of work as you think of it, because it was the only way at the time that you could justify art to yourself. Naturally, however, your working method is different, and is built up of an intricate series of quite complicated logical judgments involving spatial relationships. In, for example, particular kinds of immaculate gradations. I am speaking of your painting now. Ruber has always rather envied your approach. His, relatively speaking, is a fiery approach. He is quite unaware, consciously, of doing any work for these sessions. He does, of course, for our communications do not just happen, and my voice, like his, is an inspired one. Inspiration, however, is not predictable. The fact that these sessions are predictable says much. However, for the long-standing nature of such unpredictable events. Inspiration, however, in its appearance is spontaneous, and those who possess it have their problems if they want to make such inspiration available to the world. There are those who can go from one spontaneous inspiration happily to another equally spontaneous one, and feel no desire to form any kind of art from it, or to order it along the ways of the world. You were quick to intuitively understand the nature of such inspiration. You were quick to nourish it. You helped give it form. So you do understand inspiration. It is not a luxury, but the nature that sustains each individual and the world. Ruber has more than appreciated your support, and in fact, you have indeed inspired him. So your conversation earlier upset him considerably. The world thinks that inspiration is impractical, and you have both made unfortunate distinctions between inspiration and work. You can afford to do so more than Ruber, since your natural working method falls more easily into that kind of context, where the effort shows in time. Ruber cannot afford such distinctions. Give us a moment. Ruber has tried to pace himself to you, because it seemed your way was the more practical. He does not think of jobs to be done. The use of the word means one thing to you and one thing to him. Now let us look at the dream, and also at today's activities. The dream told him that he had agreed to deaden himself to a certain extent, and that he did not think deadening yourself would be painful. He would just slow everything down. He was confronting the part of himself that decided upon the course to which the other part agreed. While you stood by, watching, he discovered that trying to deaden yourself is quite painful. The dream initiated your pendulum work on inspiration. For to Ruber, to deaden yourself is to deaden inspiration, which to him is the quickness of life. Now he did this because of his ideas of work, and of jobs to be done, and effort. When he thinks of work in that fashion, then feelings of responsibility, respectability, scorn, or criticism emerge to thicken the picture. He felt that inspiration was providing so much material that it could not be handled in time. He also felt that his inspiration frightened you with more work, which it seemed to him was not particularly pleasant for you, since you often spoke about your difficulties in doing the notes, and only lately have you begun to say when you are doing well. Often my sessions are meant to lead him somewhere, or to stimulate him in certain fashions. Today he felt like acting actively with unknown. Both of you there have concentrated upon impediments, and suddenly, finally, his desire led him to begin typing the book. He began thinking in terms of what he could do, so that now we see that he is not only physically desiring to do more and trying it, but also mentally stimulated and with a new sense of purpose as far as unknown is concerned, and a desire reawakened to play with 7. The body responded rather immediately with further loosening in all areas, and greater circulation and loosening, particularly in the arms and the fingers. The physical situation is a good one. All areas are further releasing, but the inner impetus is far more important. Take your break. Your desire to know has always inspired Ruber to go further in his own inspirations. You must free your own rhythms so that they work together smoothly, as indeed they can, for they complement each other. As I have said before, Ruber can indeed handle details quite well, and is an excellent logical thinker. You underplay your own intuitional abilities and spontaneity. The lines are not all that finely drawn. You are both coming along quite well now. But yes, you should cut Frank's visits to every other week, for you need to concentrate now upon your own approaches. Many of Frank's ideas are appallingly short-sighted, and while you are working with your own beliefs, a visit every other week is enough for now, without quoting Frank's opinions, as can happen when Ruber wants Frank, in conventional terms, to acknowledge improvements that are definitely occurring, but that Frank is too slow to perceive. Ruber can use a particular, though brief encouragement in the morning immediately upon awakening, but overall the body is responding gratefully. He can perhaps try to walk a bit more now. Your time concepts are particularly limited because they lead you into a particular focus in which you concentrate upon impediments to your desire. This bothers both of you considerably, so that Ruber in particular will anticipate distractions a week in advance. I would like you to try something and give it a reasonable try. Make an effort to alter your focus, just your focus, so that you concentrate upon what you want to do. If you do that, then distractions will seem to minimize almost immediately. Not only will you react to them differently, but the distractions themselves will vanish in a considerable manner. For one thing, your focus will automatically serve as a new point of organization in your own lives, so that you will automatically begin to sidestep many distractions of your own making. Life will indeed automatically seem simpler in that regard. Your pendulum sessions can go for 3/4 of an hour now at the most, but regularly, and when you are done, the two of you should briefly discuss your goals for the day. That individual and combined intent stated can be most effective. Very briefly, each dream is astonished at his own opaqueness in life, and the chances that escaped him. The younger man was, when you met him, afraid himself of schizophrenia, and had a great need to establish his own sanity at the expense of anyone who showed any but the most conventional characteristics. I believe he is teaching or taught in a Midwestern university. You approached him because of your own quite conventional feelings, that because he was comparatively young, he would be broad-minded. You also sought to form a contact with someone more or less a contemporary who was in the psychological field. You thought that if the in-string affair did not work out, this might be another point of contact. That desire led you to disregard conflicting feelings, urging you to leave the man alone. You also thought two opinions were better than one, and you hoped that the man could provide some information about in-string himself, so that you would know better how to deal with him. That is enough for this evening. Please take the change of focus material into consideration, both of you. And I bid you a fine, inspired good evening. Ross said, "Thank you," says.